The great council hall was filled with voices and flashing lights. Leaders of 20 alien species had gathered, each wearing their best robes and medals. They had come to judge the latest threat, a human warship entering their territory. But when the first images of the ship appeared on the giant screen, the room exploded with laughter. It looked old, very old. The hull was dark gray with dents, burn marks, and strange symbols no one could read. One alien admiral shouted, "Did humans pull that from their graveyards?" Another said, "Maybe they found it under the ocean." Even Counselor Varrock, known for his cold silence, smirked and said, "It's barely flying." Sitting alone in the center was a human envoy. He was calm, not smiling, not angry, just watching the room with quiet eyes. His name was Lieutenant Aaron Cole, a decorated officer of Earth's defense fleet. He stood slowly as the laughter echoed around him. "This ship is not new," Aaron said, his voice steady and clear. "Because we didn't build it yesterday." The laughter faded a little. Some curious eyes turned toward him. "Then when did you build this? Antique?" A reptilian general hissed, still amused. Aaron looked at him, then pointed toward the screen. 1,000 years ago, he said. Silence dropped like a stone in the chamber. Many blinked, unsure if they heard him right. Some chuckled again, thinking it was a joke. "Impossible," said a Zerni tech lord, waving his tentacle in the air. "No human ship could last that long." Aaron stepped forward, still calm. "We didn't send it here to impress you," he said. "We sent it because something is waking up in the outer rim." That sentence caught everyone's attention. The outer rim was where the old stars lived, and where old things waited in silence. The laughter stopped completely. Still, no one believed this old human ship could help. "Even if something dangerous is out there," said the insectoid chancellor. "Your ship looks like scrap." Aaron reached into his coat and placed a small device on the table. A hologram rose, showing images blurry, shaky but real. A massive alien creature made of black energy, ripping apart a battle moon in seconds. Laser fire did nothing. Shields collapsed instantly. The creature left no survivors. 16 planets are gone, Aaron said, his voice low. 3 Council scout fleets destroyed. Now the hall was silent, filled with tension. One of the lizard generals leaned forward, his voice slower now. "What does this have to do with your ancient ship?" he asked. Aaron looked up at the massive screen again. "Our ancestors fought that creature," he said. "They knew it would return." He tapped the device again. The hologram showed a timeline of human wars, each more brutal than the last. Then it stopped on a strange project. Project Eternum. "No records exist of this project," one AI diplomat said, surprised. "They were erased." Aaron answered, "On purpose." Gasps went around the chamber. Erased military records were rare and very serious. That meant only one thing, something too powerful or dangerous to remember. "The ship," Aaron said softly, "is not a normal warship. It remembers what we chose to forget. And now it is awake." Suddenly, an alarm rang through the council hall. A red screen flashed, showing a new alert. "Warning," the voice said. "Unidentified human vessel has entered forbidden space. Location, above council. Command Moon." "What?" screamed several leaders at once. "Impossible. It was still near Jupiter. How did it jump here without a drive signature? How did it bypass our defense grid?" Aaron said nothing. He simply looked at them with eyes that held no fear. "I told you," he said slowly. "We didn't build it yesterday." High above, in the cold silence of space, the ship hovered. It made no sound, no movement, yet every alien station nearby shut down one by one. No weapons fired, no threats made. Still, the fear in every officer's heart grew heavy like a stone. It wasn't the ship's weapons that scared them. It was the feeling, like the ship was watching and remembering. Down in the council hall, one brave captain stood up and whispered, "What have the humans done?" Aaron turned to him and said just one line, "We warned you 1,000 years ago." Asterisk, the human ship had no name in the council's database. Its model did not match any known human design. No engines could be seen, no fuel trails, no heat signals, yet it moved smoothly, silently, like a ghost drifting through stars. Every time the council tried to scan it, the screen showed errors, no readings detected. The computer repeated again and again, as if the ship refused to be known, as if it was hiding something deep inside. A team of advanced drones was launched. Each drone was equipped with top-level scanners, shields, and backup AI brains. They approached the ship with caution, blinking red lights and whisper-quiet engines. They never returned. The video feed cut off mid-transmission. Just static remained. One image was frozen on the screen, a single dark circle forming under the drones, like a hole in space, and then nothing. Panic started to rise among the council military officers. "It's using black hole tech." One screamed. "No," said another. "This is something beyond black holes." General Zarnak, a reptilian warrior who had survived 10 galactic wars, stood in silence. He stared at the strange shape of the ship on the screen. It triggered something deep inside him, not fear, but memory. He had seen something like this before. Long ago, in Forbidden's archives he wasn't supposed to access. Meanwhile, in orbit, the ship hovered just outside the main council moonbase. It made no aggressive move, no shields were raised, no weapons deployed. It simply existed, and somehow that was worse. A council fleet of 70 warships moved to intercept it. Their lights flashed, warning shots fired, and hails were sent. But the human ship ignored everything. It didn't even change course. It passed through one of the defense zones without setting off a single alarm. It was like the defenses didn't see it at all. How is this possible? The council officers shouted in confusion. "We're being humiliated by a museum piece." One admiral cried, his claws clenching the control table. Inside the council hall, Aaron Cole watched the madness unfold without saying a word. He knew they would not understand, not yet. He also knew the ship was not here to fight, not yet anyway. Back in his private chamber, General Zarnak opened his personal archive chip. Old, dusty files flickered to life on the screen. He typed. In Forbidden's keywords, Eternum, Echo Class, Silent Treaty. One file opened. Locked under 10 levels of encryption, he bypassed them all, slowly and carefully. And then, he saw it, a picture, black and white, taken 1,000 years ago. A ship exactly like the one now at orbit. The caption said, Project Eternum status, sealed. Do not awaken. His blood turned cold. He whispered, "It's the same ship." Not a copy, not a newer model, the same exact ship, but how? How could it be flying after 1,000 years? Even advanced alien ships didn't last more than 3 centuries, and yet, this one moved like it was brand new, maybe better than new. Then he read the next line. It said, "Designed for a war that erased itself." Zarnak felt his knees weaken. Erased itself? He repeated, what kind of war was that? One so deadly it destroyed not only armies, but memory itself? Back in orbit, the ship suddenly stopped. Its lights turned from cold blue to bright gold. And for the first time, it responded, not with words, not with sound, but every sensor, every computer, every ship in the fleet around it suddenly flashed one word on their screens. A word no species could translate, but every being understood. That word was observe. And then, in less than 3 seconds, the ship vanished. Gone from sensors, gone from sight. No warp signature, no flash of light. Just vanished. Did it cloak? One technician asked. No, another said, voice trembling. It phased. General Zarnak re-entered the council hall, sweating, his scales darkened in fear. He walked straight to Aaron Cole and said, "That ship, it should not exist." Aaron looked at him and replied softly, "I know, but it does." Then Aaron looked at the sky through the clear dome above them and whispered, "And it remembers everything." General Zarnak stood alone in the dark chamber. He stared at the ancient screen. still showing the last word the ship had sent. Observe. That single word had silenced fleets, frozen commanders, and filled even the bravest with fear. He dug deeper into the Forbidden's archives, his claws typed fast as the system fought back with lockdown alerts and security alarms. But he bypassed every level, determined to learn the truth. He knew that the Council would never admit what he was now about to uncover. Then he found it. A lost file labeled Whisper War, Earth's Last Breath. Inside were broken images, fractured reports, and one chilling sentence. Humanity built a weapon to remember a war the galaxy was forced to forget. Zarnak trembled. He remembered the legends whispered by the ancient races, stories of a time before the Council existed. A time when stars were turned into black holes by things not born of planets. Things that fed on time, memory, and souls. Things that no longer had names. And back then, humanity still young, still wild, had stood alone. They refused to bow, refused to run, so they built Eternum, a warship not to win, but to survive. Not powered by fuel or fusion, but by pain, memory, and sacrifice. They called it Echo Class, because it was meant to be heard long after everything else was gone. No one had seen it in 1,000 years. No one even remembered why it was built. But now it was back, and it had chosen to awaken. Meanwhile, deep in Council orbit, a strange event unfolded. A patrol ship spotted a ripple in space, like water bending in a pond. Then the human warship appeared again, calm, silent, majestic. But this time, it was different. Its hull was changing. Alien officers gasped as they saw the outer plates move like skin. Markings glowed, symbols from old human languages, long forgotten by even Earth itself. Each symbol pulsed like a heartbeat. And one by one, old battle scars on the ship lit up, showing where it had once been struck. Showing that it had survived not one war, but many. Inside the warship, something began to wake up. Not a crew, not humans, not machines, but something older than both. The ship's core pulsed red, then purple, then pure white. And somewhere, deep in its code, a voice spoke, not in sound, but in thought. Memory confirms match. Enemy signatures detected. The ship wasn't just a weapon, it was a historian. It remembered enemies that even the Council had forgotten. And now, it believed they were returning. In the Council chamber, chaos grew. Some wanted to destroy the ship immediately. Others feared that doing so would unleash something worse. Aaron Cole stood calm as always, watching their fear grow. "The ship is not your enemy," he said quietly. "But it will become one if provoked." "Then what does it want?" demanded a senator with shaking hands. Aaron answered, "It wants to finish the mission it was created for." General Zarnak stepped forward, holding the file in his hands. "It was built to end a war that destroyed itself," he said, his voice hollow. "And it survived alone for 1,000 years, floating in a forgotten orbit near your own stars." One AI representative, glowing with yellow light, asked, "Why would humans hide such power?" Aaron looked at him, then at everyone in the room. "Because we feared it more than we feared the enemy," he said. Suddenly, new footage appeared on the screens, captured from a science outpost on the edge of the galaxy. A shadow. Enormous, alive, and moving in the void. Its shape was wrong, twisting, like it was not meant to exist in this dimension. Then it vanished again, just like the warship. Without warning, but this time, a message followed it, a message written in an old human military code, long believed extinct. It read, "Echo-class warship required, hostile match confirmed." The Council gasped. It meant only one thing. The same enemy that forced the creation of the Eternum was back. Back in orbit, the warship moved on its own, its engines still silent, its body glowing with ancient power. Then one long, deep sound came from the ship, a hum that rattled every station and ship nearby. And with that, it pointed its nose toward the stars, toward the outer rim, toward the place where ancient fear still slept. General Zarnak looked at Aaron Cole and asked, "If that ship was made for something this terrible, then what could possibly be coming? Aaron did not blink. He whispered back, "Something the galaxy has forgotten." But the ship never did. The warship floated above the outer rim silently. Its surface no longer looked like metal, but something more alive. Pulsing lights ran across its body like veins, glowing softly in the dark space. Alien fleets followed it from a safe distance, too afraid to attack, but too curious to leave it alone. They wanted to know what was inside, what was powering this ship, what made it so calm yet so terrifying. No weapons had been fired, yet every admiral felt like their fleet was already destroyed just by being near it. Back in the council chamber, a vote was passed. A drone would be sent to enter the ship, not to attack, but to explore. Aaron Cole gave no comment. He only watched as they made the same mistake that had been made long ago. The drone ship approached slowly. It broadcast peace signals, showed no weapons, and drifted close to the open hatch. Surprisingly, the human warship let it in. The hatch opened by itself. No alarms, no warnings, just a quiet welcome that felt more like a test. The drone entered through a dark tunnel. The walls inside were not made of metal. They looked more like bone. Soft blue lights guided the drone deeper inside, but no crew was seen, no humans, no machines, just silence and something else. At the core of the ship, the drone found it. A chamber larger than any room it had ever scanned. In the center floated a crystal sphere, glowing with deep red energy. The drone scanned it, and the reading shocked the council. The core was alive. It was not AI, not a machine, but something part living, part energy, part memory. It was ancient, powerful, and aware of the drone's presence. And then, without warning, the drone shut down completely. The signal was lost in its final second of transmission. One blurry image was captured. The core sphere opened slightly. Inside was a floating heart, not beating, but pulsing with data, and next to it, carved in light, were words, old human code. Translated by Aaron Cole, it read, "Do not awaken the echo unless you are ready to pay." The council went into panic. What kind of ship is this? Someone cried, "Why does it have a living heart? Is it a weapon or a god?" No one had answers, except Aaron. He finally spoke. "It's not just a warship," he said. "It's a memory core. It holds the minds of every warrior who died in the Whisper War." The room fell silent. Thousands of human souls, uploaded at death, stored inside this ship, not resting, not gone, but waiting for the return of their enemy, waiting to fight again. General Zarnok's voice cracked. "Why would you build something like this?" he asked. Aaron looked at him with steady eyes. "Because we knew one day no one else would remember." Outside, the warship started to move again. But this time, not alone. As it passed nearby moons and stations, their systems shut down one by one. Not destroyed, just quieted, as if the ship was taking control. Without asking permission, as if it was reminding the galaxy who built it. Suddenly, it stopped again, and opened a new hatch, but this hatch was different. Sharp edges, golden light, and cold mist pouring out. No one had seen what came next. For over 1,000 years, a figure stepped out, not human, not alien. It wore old armor made of starlight and steel. Its face was hidden, its eyes glowing white. It looked at the stars and spoke a single sentence in a voice that was not one, but many. "We are Echo." The figure did not explain itself. It simply walked along the outer hull, and where it stepped, the ship changed, reacting to its presence like a living skin. Every weapon on every nearby ship pointed at the figure, but no one fired. The figure looked at them, and without moving its mouth, its voice entered every mind. "You scanned us," it said. "You entered us. Now you will understand what it means to carry war forever." A flash of light erupted from the ship, not an explosion, but a vision. Every being nearby saw memories of burning planets, collapsing stars, screaming soldiers. A war so terrible it had to be erased from history. But the Echo-class ship had remembered it all. It had stored it, carried it, and now it had shown it. The vision ended, and the space around the ship was silent again. But no one saw it as a threat now. They saw it as something greater, something they could never control. Inside the council hall, one alien finally whispered, "We thought we were watching the past, but the past is watching us." Aaron Cole nodded slowly and said, "It always was." A soft light glowed behind Aaron Cole's eyes as he watched the Echo warship float silently in space. He had known this moment would come, but the council wasn't ready. They were afraid of what they couldn't scan, couldn't hack, and couldn't control. But Aaron understood the truth. They were never meant to control the Echo. They were meant to learn from it. In the private chamber of General Zarnak, Earth's envoy placed a small metal cube on the table. The cube opened with a whisper, and inside were Forbidden's records from Earth's deepest vaults. "Read them," Aaron said softly. "The council deserves to know what we buried." Zarnak hesitated, then nodded. The files unrolled before him in slow glowing letters. They spoke of Earth's early wars, not against aliens, but against the forgotten. Creatures that didn't come from space, but from something darker. Things that crawled through time cracks, feeding on minds and memory. Things no longer named, only remembered by scars left behind. We called them the Nullborn. Aaron explained, they didn't want land, didn't want power. They wanted to erase, to consume all proof we ever lived. Zarnak leaned back, speechless. "How did you survive?" he finally asked. Aaron's voice turned heavy. "We didn't," he said. "We only delayed the end." The Echo was built during the final hours of the Whisper War, not to fight on the front lines, but to watch, to store, to remember. Earth's greatest minds, warriors and scientists, merged their thoughts into one living code. Their memories, strategies, and sacrifices were sealed inside the ship. To wait for the day the Nullborn would return. "We erased all records of the war," Aaron said, "so our children wouldn't live in fear. But we left one ship behind, and now that ship was awake again. Above them, the Echo began to glow brighter. A strange ring of energy formed around it. Old Earth scientists had called it temporal binding, a defense that distorted time itself. No weapon could hit the ship when the field was active, because time bent around it like wind around a stone. Council scientists stared in awe. No one in the galaxy had ever built something like this. Not even the oldest empires. "Your kind made this 1,000 years ago?" whispered a robotic ambassador. Aaron nodded. "We didn't have a choice." On the screens, the Echo sent a new signal, not a message, but an invitation. A request for one ship to dock, one being to enter, to witness. The council argued, afraid it was a trap, but General Zarnak stood up. "I will go," he said. "If they built a ship to store a war this terrible, I want to see what they were trying to protect us from." His ship approached carefully. The Echo opened a golden path, smooth and glowing, like a road through a dream. No weapons, no guards, no tricks, only a message on every screen. "Welcome, witness." Zarnak entered alone, his body tense, his heart pounding. Inside, the warship looked like a cathedral, tall walls of light, halls filled with holograms frozen in time. Statues made of pure data showed human soldiers standing side by side with creatures that no longer existed. He walked through memories. Each step took him deeper into a forgotten truth. Then he reached a chamber where no air moved. In the center stood a crystal coffin. Inside it was a human, or something like a human, eyes closed, arms crossed, wearing armor that shimmered with stars. Above the coffin, words floated in soft white light. "This is Commander Elia Voss." He gave his mind to the ship. Aaron's voice echoed through a comlink. "He still watches." Suddenly, Zarnak's mind filled with images. Burning skies, collapsing moons, creatures crawling through cracked air. Human cities falling under silence, not fire. The Nullborn didn't kill, they unmade. Turning people into ash without pain, without sound, just gone. And then he saw the birth of the Echo, humans standing around a massive core. Crying, screaming, offering their lives. They didn't build a ship, they became it. The vision ended. Zarnak stood frozen in place, tears on his scales. He had seen war, but never like this. This was not a story of victory, it was a warning. One Earth had carried alone for 1,000 years. He returned to the council, silent and pale. "What did you see?" they asked. He turned to them and said only one thing. "The Echo is not a ship. It's a grave carrying the last scream of a forgotten war." The sky beyond the stars began to twist, not with fire, not with storms, but with silence, a silence so deep that space itself stopped breathing. The far edges of the galaxy flickered like broken lights, and then space cracked. A thin line of darkness tore through the stars, not black like shadow, but darker like the memory of something that never should exist. A shape emerged from the crack, long, jagged, and shifting like smoke underwater. No ship, no life form, just hunger. The Nullborn had returned. Council stations across the rim picked up the signature, but no one could understand what it was. Scanners failed, systems crashed, and entire outposts went silent, one by one. Voices from the edge of the galaxy disappeared. No alarms, no screams, just gone. Inside the council hall, panic took root. Alien generals shouted over one another. "Is it a black hole? Is it a superweapon?" "No," whispered General Zarnak, his eyes hollow. "It's them." All heads turned toward Aaron Cole. He stood still, but his fists were clenched. "It's the Nullborn," he confirmed. "They don't come to fight. They come to erase." Above a council world, a ring-shaped station watched as the darkness approached. Weapons fired lasers, torpedoes, particle cannons. None of them hit. Each beam bent, each missile disappeared. Then the station itself began to fade, not explode, fade, as if it was being unmade from time itself. Millions of lives lost, but no bodies remained. Just empty space, cold and perfect, as if nothing had ever been there at all. And still the Nullborn moved forward. The council begged Aaron to release the Echo-class ship. "It's already moving," he said softly. "We didn't need to tell." It, high above, the warship glowed like a rising star. It drifted away from Earth's moon and turned toward the dark crack in space. Its lights grew brighter. Its skin shifted again. Symbols of every lost human city appeared on its hull. Memorials turned into armor inside the ship. Voices began to hum, not in fear, but in unity. Thousands of voices, old and young, speaking together in silent code. "We remember, we return, we rise." The Echo didn't fly through normal space. It cut through it, tearing open a path only it could follow. As it passed through dead systems, it left behind lights, old satellites that rebooted, old ships that reactivated. As if its presence brought memory back to the forgotten, the Nullborn noticed. For the first time in 1,000 years, the darkness paused. Then it reached toward the warship, not with weapons, but with tendrils of nothingness. They reached to touch the ship and erase it from existence. But when they touched the Echo's hull, something happened. A sound echoed through space, a deep chime, like a bell from the end of time, and the tendrils shattered, not destroyed, but remembered, forced to become what they had erased. The Echo's hull turned gold, then white. It unfolded like a blooming flower, revealing its true form. It was not just a ship, it was a gate to the deepest memory of mankind, a place where history lived forever. From that gate came light, not fire, not lasers, but light filled with names, stories, and forgotten dreams. Each beam of light struck the Nullborn, and every time, the monsters screamed not from pain, but from recognition. The Echo was making them remember what they had erased, turning silence into voices, turning emptiness into faces. The battle was not loud, it was slow and heavy. Every time the Echo fired, it gave back what was lost, and the Nullborn grew weaker, smaller, less sure of their shape. They began to fall apart not from damage but from memory. They could not survive in a galaxy that refused to forget. The Council watched the battle from light years away. None dared interfere. Even the bravest generals stayed silent, because what they saw was not a fight, it was a funeral, a warship. Mourning the past by making the future possible again. When the last of the nullborn faded, the crack in space sealed itself. No sound, no explosion. Just quiet stars once more. The Echo floated still, its lights fading to soft blue. Its job was done for now, but before turning away, the ship sent one last message to the galaxy, not words but a vision. Every being saw it at once, human standing on a burning world, refusing to kneel, holding the line not with hope, but with memory, fighting not for victory, but so someone could tell the story later. Back on Earth, Aaron Cole looked at the stars and whispered, "They returned, but so did we." The stars were quiet again. The darkness was gone, and the crack in space was closed. But no one spoke. All across the galaxy, on moons, stations, and homeworlds, there was only silence. Not the silence of fear, but the silence of respect. The Echo-class warship floated calmly in orbit above the Council's central world. Its lights were soft now, its surface no longer pulsing with warnings. It looked like it was resting, but everyone knew it was still watching inside the Council hall. No one sat in their seats. They stood, every representative, every general, every voice. They had seen a warship fight without weapons. They had seen memory become a shield, and now they understood. They were not the masters of the galaxy, they were children. Children standing in front of a grave too large to understand. And the Echo was the guardian of that grave. General Zarnock stepped forward, his voice calm but shaken. "We thought the humans were weak," he said. "We thought they forgot their past like we did. But we were wrong." He turned to Aaron Cole, who stood with hands behind his back, silent and steady. "You carried a secret for 1,000 years, Zarnock said. "You remembered when all of us forgot." Aaron nodded once. "We remembered," he said, "because we had no choice." Then he looked around the room. "Now the Echo sleeps again," he said. "But not forever." Everyone knew what he meant. The ship would not stay forever. It was never meant to be a tool, never meant to obey. It was alive with purpose. And that purpose had been fulfilled for now. The Council passed a new law that day. It was simple, only 3 words long. Do not forget. All records of the Echo class were unsealed. All files on the Whisper War were shared. Children learned it in schools, soldiers trained with the knowledge of it. The past was no longer hidden. It became the armor of the future, and across the stars, monuments were built, not to the Council, not to any empire, but to memory, to the war that had once been erased, and to the ship that remembered it alone. Back on Earth, the Echo returned. It drifted silently above the planet's orbit, not touching down, not signaling, just watching the blue world it was born to protect. Its armor faded from gold to gray, its lights dimmed like the setting sun. And then, it whispered to Earth in its own voice, "We are home." No human heard it, but the ground shook gently, the seas calmed, and the sky seemed to glow, as if the planet itself welcomed its oldest warrior back. The Echo had carried the pain of a forgotten galaxy, and now it could rest. Inside its core, the voices were quiet. The souls of the past no longer cried. They were proud, because they had done what they were created to do, not to fight, but to remind. To remind all beings that peace without memory is dangerous, that forgetting evil allows it to return, and that sometimes the most powerful weapon is simply to remember. Years later, in a museum on the Council's moon, a child stood before a display showing the Echo-class ship. She pointed at the glowing model and asked, "Why didn't it destroy everything with lasers like the other warships?" Her mother smiled and said, "Because it wasn't built to destroy. It was built so we never forget why war must never come again." And far above, in deep space, the Echo heard that. Its systems hummed softly. A signal blinked once, just once, on the monitors of Earth's defense network. One word appeared, then vanished. "Ready." And the stars watched silently, because now, so did the galaxy.